Strange game week, but despite the low score, a green arrow. With the 9th game week of the season completed, let's take a look at how my team performed and my early transfer thoughts for game week 10. Ahead of game week 9, with 2 free transfers, I decided to bring in Salah and Wilson. For game week 9 I got 47 points, just 4 points above the average, but despite the low points, my ranking has improved by 62,000 places. In the My FPL Strategy League, my position has too improved. Shout out to Cameron FC, who remains in the top spot for the 2nd week running. Now let's take a look at how my team performed and my transfer thoughts for game week 10. Man City's unbeaten Premier League record continues, smashing Burnley 5-0. EDERSON had a quiet and easy game, having very little to contend with. A game with Burnley struggled to attack, EDERSON had no shots to deal with and simply watched his team performance before him. At the end, for keeping a clean sheet, the Brazilian returned a well-needed 6 points. Man City's next match on paper is a tough away match against Spurs. However, in the last 2 meetings between the two, Man City has scored 7 goals and only conceded a single goal in each match. Perhaps there's a slight slim chance for a clean sheet. Liverpool achieved their 6th clean sheet of the season, beating Huddersfield 1-0. Robertson had another solid display. Despite largely focused on his defensive duties, only Salah and Sturridge recorded more touches in the final third, again highlighting his offensive threat. His overall performance earned him 2 additional bonus points, and at the end the Scotsman returned a solid 8 points. The Reds play a home match against Cardiff before they play a tough away match against Arsenal. The Reds have only conceded 3 goals so far this season, 2 of the goals coming from the top 6. Thus the likelihood for another clean sheet looks promising on paper. So without question, for game week 10, Robertson will be the first to start in my team. Wolves' 6-game unbeaten run was brought to an end with a 2-0 away defeat to Watford. Prior to this game, the Wanderers had won 4 of their last 5 Premier League games, picking up 4 clean sheets, while Watford had only picked up 1 in 4. A game on paper that looked promising for Doherty, but in the space of 1 minute, Wolves conceded 2 goals, surprising many FPL managers. Due to conceding 2 goals, Doherty only returned a single point. The Wanderers face Brighton next before they embark 2 tough fixtures against Spurs and Arsenal. Despite the poor return against Watford, Doherty's offensive quality is enough to convince me to start him for game week 10. Johnny gets subbed at half-time in a 2-0 defeat against Watford. Being guilty of not playing 2 Wolf defenders in game week 7 and 8, losing out on 17 points in total, I decided to play 2 Wolf defenders for game week 9. And what happens? Wolves let in 2 goals, and Johnny gets subbed at half-time. Typical. As a result of conceding 2 goals and playing less than 60 minutes, the Spaniard returned an embarrassing 0 points. Wolves travel to Farmers Stadium to face Brighton next. Being burnt for playing 2 Wolf defenders admittedly has dented my confidence, and I think I'd rather spread my bets, so it's unlikely I'll be playing Johnny for game week 10. Despite taking a deserved lead, the Foxes were beaten 3-1 to Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. MADDISON started the game well. He could have easily recorded 2 assists with Maguire's header, and indeed he hitting the crossbar in the second half. A game I watched live, he was unlucky not to make any returns. At the end, the Englishman only returned 2 points for match appearance. Leicester City have a good run of fixtures. The Foxes don't play a top 6 team until game week 16. Personally, for me, MADDISON passes the eye test, and I'm comfortable for him to remain my team for the long run. Everton left it late to beat Crystal Palace 2-0 at Goodison Park. Richarlison's new role up front doesn't seem to suit the Brazilian, as his average has gone from 3 shots per game to just 1. He struggled to test the goalkeeper, registering just 1 attempt on goal. At the end, Richarlison only returned 3 points. Everton's next 5 fixtures alternate between a challenging and desirable match. They have a tough game against Manchester United next, before they play Brighton at home. Thus I'm contemplating exchanging Richarlison for a differential player who has a better run of fixtures. Chelsea's late goal earns the Blues a 2-2 draw against Manchester United. Hazard had a difficult game, subject to many heavy challenges as United looked to stifle Chelsea's star man. The plan worked as the Belgian international only registered 1 shot on target. Unfortunately, he was booked in the first half for a reckless challenge. As a result, the midfielder only returned a single point. Excluding the away game against Spurs, Chelsea have a good run of fixtures. Despite Hazard's poor return for Game Week 9, the Belgian international is in fine form, and expect more FPL points to come his way. Mohamed Salah's strike was enough to beat Huddersfield 1-0. Perhaps still not quite at his best, the Egyptian only registered 2 shots attempts on goal. But despite the lack of offensive returns, Salah scored a fine finish which ultimately proved to be the winning goal. His efforts weren't enough to earn him any additional bonus points, but at the end Salah returned a respectable 8 points. Excluding the Arsenal game, Liverpool have a good run of fixtures. As long as Salah remains fit, his starting spot in my team will remain firmly intact. AGUERO unlocks the floodgates in Man City's 5-0 win against Burnley. SERGIO opened the scoring with a clinical finish less than 20 minutes into the game. The Argentina could have easily had a hat-trick, missing 2 big chances in the first half. His minutes were managed again, substitute 6 minutes after the hour mark. His display wasn't enough to earn any bonus points, but as my captain, the striker returned a respectable 12 points. City travelled to Wembley to face Spurs next. AGUERO is now the top FPL goal scorer with 6 goals so far. Thus it makes sense to keep hold of AGUERO, especially considering his higher ownership. But admittedly, I'm tempted to bring in Aubameyang from Arsenal for the next 4 game weeks. Bournemouth failed to score as Southampton comfortably defended a 0-0 draw at Dean Court Stadium. Wilson and Josh King, who have combined well throughout the season so far, were in different wavelengths throughout the game, and neither could force the keeper into making a save. To make matters worse, with less than 10 minutes to go, Wilson was needlessly booked for dissent. As a result, the Englishman only returned a single point. Bournemouth face Fulham next before they play a tough home match against Manchester United. Fulham suffered a 4-2 defeat to Cardiff at the City Stadium. MITROVIC had a frustrating game, registering no shots on goal. Despite the lack of goal attempts, the Serbian's through ball for Fulham's second was enough for the striker to return a forgivable 5 points. Fulham have 2 decent fixtures before they play a tough away match against Liverpool. I'm willing to stick with Mitrovic for the next 2 fixtures. So moving on to my transfer thoughts for Game Week 10. At present I'm contemplating 3 options. Option 1 will be to make no transfers and carry an additional free transfer for Game Week 11 in order to accommodate another premium defender, either Mendy or Alonso. Mendy looks to have continued from where he left from, returning a massive 10 points against Burnley. Despite Alonso's lack of offensive returns, Chelsea's run of fixtures improved. Alonso could be a good asset to have, especially due to his high ownership. Or option 2 would be to swap Richarlison for a differential player. Watching Richarlison's last match, he doesn't quite pass the eye test, gone from an average of 3 shots per game down to just 1. In addition, Everton faces Man United, Chelsea and Liverpool in the next 5 games. So the idea here is to find a differential player who will outperform Richarlison in the next 5 fixtures. But who exactly is the tricky part? Perhaps Kennedy from Newcastle could be a good option, especially considering Newcastle's good run of fixtures. Or option 3 would be to exchange AGUERO with Arsenal striker Aubameyang for the next 4 fixtures. The forward has scored 4 goals in his last 2 games, playing less than an hour. With a small ownership of 10.8, could Aubameyang perhaps outscore AGUERO in the next 4 games? Or is the uncertainty of not being a guaranteed starter too much to bear? So peeps, let me know what you guys think. What option would you go for? Maybe you have different ideas. Share your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I'll be announcing my final team selection for Game Week 10 via Twitter, so be sure to follow me. All the details in the description below. And that's all from me today guys. To the next video. Peace.